Today we are doing the third stage of stained glass making, and that is grinding. This might be a little bit of a long video, just because I have to go over everything, the machinery, and your safety for it. This is a grinder. This brand I have is a Griffin. They have many different brands out there with different prices. The Griffin, this one in particular, happens to be around $230. For some people that's steep, for some people that's, not that expensive. It depends on you. I would recommend getting a Griffin. I've had Griffins in the past, be it in school or home. And I've also tried other grinders, and it seems like the Griffin has definitely stayed, to what it needs to do. It lasts longer than it probably should. So if you're willing to pull that price, you'll be getting many, many years out of it versus paying little price for, not that many time of use for it. Okay, so for safety, I have three things for safety. I have gloves, which I get these at Home Depot. You can get them at any home store. Mine happen to have fabric on them because I have small hands. So I have 9 pairs to go through, but hopefully you can get ones without fabric, depending on your size of your hands. The one thing you do want to have is texture. You want to have textures on the fingertips. That way it's easier to hold the glass, really maintain it, and not have the glass slip out of your hands. So that's one. 2, of course, you want to have eye protection. The glass will start to go kind of everywhere. So you want to make sure you protect your eyes, obviously. And then the third is having a clear plastic, or plastic in just in general, cover around area of the grinder. As I said before, because of the eye protection, the glass fragments and dust particles, basically, are going to kind of ricochet everywhere. And because of that, you want to make sure you're protected, especially when you're cleaning up the area. You want to not have to put your hand down in dust that has little tiny fragments of glass in it. It's not fun. Alright, so let's get started. Once I start the grinder, it'll be loud. But then when I start to grind glass, I'm not going to talk because it'll be extremely loud. Inside this grinder, I have water. I use probably about 2 measuring cupfuls. Usually I wanted to have it to be a little bit. And then that water will come through this tube and hit the grinder head. You do not want to grind a grinder head dry and grind glass. You want to have it wet as it's spinning. This is called a cookie. You're going to use that cookie for a glass piece. And see how on this side of the glass it has excess, a lot more glass than it does like on here. You're going to be using that cookie and pushing against it a little bit with a firm hand. And that way the cookie kind of helps benefit you. Because after you're doing this for a couple hours, your fingers are definitely going to hurt. Alright, so let's start the glass, get our eye protection on, and start the grinder, sorry. There we go, and the water is going. So we're going to use a grinder and kind of push firmly as we go about it, and the glass, we take the excess glass off. At that point, we're then going to go through all 4 corners and just smooth out the edges. We don't want to have any fragments that are chipping, especially with the third stage of glass making. You do not want to have any indents. You want to have a nice smooth line. Alright, so let's start grinding. I'm just going to check and make sure my camera is still where it needs to be. Okay, good. My own strength, I don't know it. I've filmed this about 4 times now because the camera's just gone whoop and fallen. So I want to make sure I'm not having that happen to you guys. Now at this point, the pattern will start to come up. Just take it off at this point. We don't need it for the next stage anyway. And that way you can see that this might be a little bit bumpy here, and you can smooth it out. I happen to have a very wonky kind of piece of glass, so it's going to be a little bumpy anyway, and I know that ahead of time. Now at this stage, I'm just smoothing out the edges. Alrighty. So then there's the piece. It's all cut. Again, I said it is wonky, so I know that ahead of time. Take this off. And now I'm going to be actually moving you guys. So I'm sorry for the little bit of seasickness. But I want to show you how I'm putting this in. Okay. There we go. So here's the piece. Ta-da! Okay. Now this is the one we just finished. I'm just going to slide it into the piece it was, because it was number 1. So I'm just going to slide it right in there against the number 2 that I finished earlier. And this is a piece, and I will put each piece on there. Now, as you start to make each piece to grind them, they might not stick together as perfectly as they did when they were, as is paper. At that point, you might have to tweak it a little bit and grind it a little bit differently, just so that each piece fits as like a puzzle. There will be some tweaking, just know that ahead of time. So there's the piece, and then that is the third step of grinding, or second step of grinding. The third step is my favorite step. It is copper foiling. So, and that will be the next video I will show you. After I get the entire piece finished and I put it together like a puzzle, I will see you in the next video. Alright, bye-bye.